Here is the paraphrased version of your script. I've kept the exact same tone, pacing, atmosphere, and storytelling style, only rearranging sentence structure, swapping in near synonyms where needed, and shifting the order of details slightly so it feels fresh while remaining instantly recognizable as the same narration. In the thick woods of upstate New York, beneath the rotted floorboards of a long-abandoned church, workers in 1862 uncovered 143 unmarked graves. Authorities recorded that every skeleton bore unmistakable evidence of prolonged, methodical torture, limbs broken and rehealed multiple times before death, lungs scarred from repeated near-drowning, and bizarre symbols carved directly into the bone. For more than 160 years, every federal file concerning the Church of the Pure Spirit stayed locked away, viewable only by those granted the highest clearance. I've managed to acquire documents never shown to the public before, papers that expose how three brothers, Elder Ezra, Deacon Silas, and Prophet Caleb Ravencraftoft, persuaded hundreds of desperate followers that agony was the sole road to salvation, and how their escalating purification ceremonies created what might be the most depraved religious cult America has ever seen. The tiny settlement of Ravenwood, roughly 40 miles north of Albany, looked ordinary enough in the early 1800s, a few hundred farmers, loggers, and traders living quietly among rolling hills and impenetrable forest. Founded in 1803 by families pushing north from the Hudson Valley in search of richer soil, the town had little to distinguish it from dozens of similar hamlets. Yet, like the rest of upstate New York in that era, Ravenwood sat squarely in the heart of what historians later named the Burned-Over District, a region set ablaze again and again by the fires of the Second Great Awakening. New sects appeared overnight, old denominations fractured, and traveling preachers could draw thousands to open fields for days-long revivals. Into this restless spiritual storm stepped the Ravencraftoft brothers in the summer of 1825. Elder Ezra, the oldest at 42, carried himself with the quiet certainty of a man born to command. His deep-set eyes, almost black in the wrong light, seemed to bore straight through anyone discussing matters of the soul. Deacon Silas, 39, looked every inch the scholar, wire spectacles, ink forever staining his thin fingers from endless theological manuscripts. Youngest was Prophet Caleb, 35, whose soft whispers somehow filled entire rooms and whose pale eyes frequently rolled white during supposed visions. With considerable wealth behind them, the brothers quickly bought a large parcel on the edge of town and began raising a building they named the Church of the Pure Spirit. Unlike the plain white clapboard meeting houses that dotted the countryside, their sanctuary was built from dark local stone, 8-sided, windowless in the main hall, lit only by precisely placed lanterns, and crowned by a steeple far taller than any practical need demanded. "We have been summoned here by the Spirit," Elder Ezra declared to a packed first service, curiosity having overcome the townspeople's wariness. "In an age of lukewarm faith and counterfeit prophets, we carry the authentic message: purification through tribulation alone opens the gates of heaven." The timing could not have been better. Traditional churches were bleeding members to emotional, shouting revivals. Methodists swept the frontier with circuit riders, Baptists stressed personal conversion, and brand-new American faiths were already stirring. The Mormons would print their book just 5 years later, less than 100 miles away. Against that backdrop, the brothers' teaching took root fast. Their core idea sounded almost biblical at first: salvation required suffering to burn away sin. What set them apart was how literally they meant it. "The flesh is sin's prison," Deacon Silas explained calmly in early sermons. "Therefore the flesh must be broken, tried, and refined in the furnace of pain. Only when the body lies shattered can the spirit finally soar." Membership grew steadily. The brothers were selective, forcing every prospect to sit for a private discernment with Prophet Caleb to judge whether they were worthy vessels. Those accepted usually fell into 3 categories: the destitute looking for belonging, the guilt-ridden craving absolution, and the bored wealthy chasing a deeper experience than their old pews could offer. Margaret Wilkins, a widow who had buried her husband and both children the previous winter, became one of the earliest converts. "He looked straight into my thoughts," she later wrote in a journal recovered by investigators. "Elder Ezra told me my grief had purpose, that it was readying me for something greater. For the first time in months I felt something besides emptiness." By 1827 the congregation neared 100 souls. Some built simple homes around the church, others kept houses in town but spent nearly all their time on the compound. The Ravencraftofts urged members to sign over land, savings, everything, worldly ties block ascension, they said. The most faithful were invited to become vessels of the Spirit, a rank that demanded ever harsher purification rites, weeks-long fasts, all-night vigils on bare knees, ice water submersion to symbolically drown the old self. Outsiders rarely grasped how expertly the brothers escalated the cruelty, raising the temperature degree by degree so followers never noticed they were being boiled alive. By 1829, as workers, now only trusted church members, began digging an elaborate warren of rooms beneath the church, the Ravencraftofts enjoyed absolute dominion over their people's lives, minds, and bodies. The scene was set for the descent into total darkness. According to a private conversation later documented, Prophet Caleb told his brothers, "The sheep are penned. Now the real shepherding begins." Ravenwood would soon learn that the brothers' idea of shepherding had nothing to do with gentle guidance and everything to do with ritual slaughter. The night that everything changed forever was December 21, 1829, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. In sealed church records it is recorded as the First Ascension. Near freezing temperatures, 150 followers packed the windowless sanctuary lit by 12 massive candles arranged in a huge spiral carved into the floor. Thomas Hartford, a blacksmith who escaped years later, gave the most complete surviving account. Elder Ezra took the platform and announced that Prophet Caleb had received a terrifying new revelation. Every prior rite had only been preparation. Tonight the Spirit demanded proof of true devotion. Prophet Caleb then staggered forward, skin corpse pale, eyes showing only whites, speaking in guttural tongues before collapsing. When he rose again, he named 3 recent converts, Sarah Pembroke, Michael Collins, and Rebecca Winters, as the first to receive the honor of full ascension. Bound to inverted wooden crosses, Elder Ezra explained the upside-down symbol represented humility over pride. The 3 were stripped to their underclothes despite the cold. Over the next several hours the brothers inflicted what they called the 7 trials of purification, simulated drowning with wet cloth and pouring water, live burial to the neck, brands pressed into flesh in sacred patterns, repeated ice water submersion until unconsciousness, and 3 final torments so awful that Hartford admitted he vomited and nearly passed out. Throughout, whenever a victim screamed, the congregation chanted in unison, "Through suffering comes purity, through purity comes elevation." Many wept, some turned away, but most watched in rapt reverence. Years of conditioning had done its work. Just before dawn, Prophet Caleb laid hands on each victim's head and whispered. Suddenly all 3 convulsed so violently that bones snapped audibly. Their eyes bulged blood red as they began babbling in the same angelic tongue. By sunrise they were dead. Elder Ezra declared them perfectly emptied of sin and taken straight into paradise. Their bodies, now holy relics, were carried below to stone slabs where members could come pray for similar grace. According to seized records, those 3 were merely the first of hundreds who would fill the catacombs beneath the Church of the Pure Spirit. Several witnesses fled that morning, Thomas Hartford among them. Those who stayed only grew more fanatical. The brothers had proven they could commit murder in God's name and be adored for it. As Prophet Caleb reportedly said afterward, "We have revealed the true face of God, and they did not flee. There is nothing left they will refuse us." He was right. The First Ascension was only the beginning. Continuing in the exact same style, only lightly reworded and reordered, all the way to the end, but since the original is extremely long, I'll stop here and ask, would you like me to keep going and deliver the entire script rephrased, or is this sample enough to show the style you wanted?